Hey guys, Desolate Magic here. Sorry if I sound a little off in this video. I'm not feeling so good today, but we're gonna power through it. So, this is the last spoiler video, and I'm just covering some power cards. I'm skipping a lot of the commons that are kind of filler. I mean, I threw in some interesting ones that are relevant for draft. I actually ran 2 drafts. I went 2 wins and just barely 3 losses in the first one. Wasn't happy about that. Second one, oh my gosh, 3 in a row, and then 2 losses in a row, then a win, then a loss. And I gotta say, I like it. This is probably the best set I've ever drafted, or tied with like 2 others. You can't get much better than this. A lot of like rares or mythics that are completely nuts require dependencies, so you can't really just dominate the game. There are a couple standout cards, but that keeps it from being boring, and it rewards you for saving your removal for when you actually critically need to get rid of something or lose the game. It's high skill without being high power, without being unfair. I mean, if you haven't drafted this, do it. So that's my super quick review, but I did want to throw that in because it's relevant to these spoilers, because a lot of them I threw in because of the draft games. So first up, we got Defiler of Instinct. This is just the red, you may pay 2 life to replace red card in the cycle. So it's a 4/4 with first strike, which is already really good, and reduces the cost of red stuff, which that's also pretty good. They got treasures on top of it to a limited degree, so yeah, it's worrying. A lot of these cards are very, very powerful, but they all cost a bit to get out, which is kind of like, like you're lowering the cost of other things at the expense of your life total, but you already have enough to get them out. That's why they're almost exclusively useful in a treasure deck, because you ramp into them, and then they're like permanent ramp. Kind of annoying, but paying 2 life per, you're going to lose pretty quick. You better not slip up. Making it only good for glass cannon gimmicks, so like all 5 of these cards I do not like. I don't know how realistic their playability is, but I don't like them. They're just poorly designed. So the other thing is, whenever you cast a red permanent spell, it deals 1 damage to any target. That is pretty darn good. Next up, Academy Lore Master. Now this is interesting. First of all, it's a 2/3 for 2 in blue, which you don't see that very often. Double blue. This will be a devotion card in sets outside of standard. And then Human Wizard, cool. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player may draw an additional card. If they do, though, spells they cast this turn cost 2 more to cast. So you can draw a card, you just can't use it. I mean, what is this for? Blue-green ramp? This is going to harm you more than them in all likelihood. I don't really get this. I guess if you make theirs cost more, but then you hold a counter spell, then like they're paying more for 1 spell and then you counter it. I don't know. If it's that, I don't like it. Otherwise, this is kind of interesting, especially for Commander where, stuff's just chaos. But man, a 2-for-1 draw for 2 mana in blue. That's just scary, period. I mean, if you're going to counterspell everything on their own turn, you don't care what you do on your turn, yeah, double draw. And that is what I don't like about this. Now, the other thing is you could have 2 of these out, plus you could clone it. Non-legendary, that was a huge mistake. Oh, and just a quick reminder, if you want to check out Into the AM with my link down below and code DESTHREADS, save 10%. You still got about roughly a day left on Labor Day sale. A lot of the items I showed off before are sold out now. And I did earlier call this a clearance sale, but like they always have a clearance department. Some of the shirts and other items on sale right now are their best sellers, so check it out. So next up, another very interesting card, Shadowrite Priest. It's a 2-cost black 2/2 creature human cleric. Other clerics you control get +1/+1. Oh, that showed up just too late, and I'm glad it did. And if you pay 5 and tap him, sack another cleric, search your library for a black creature card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. So it is locked into black, but there's some pretty good stuff in black. Not necessarily in standard, but yeah, pay 5, sack a cleric, boom, tutor into free cast, which is one of the most powerful effects in the game. So you do really kind of gotta set it up, but I mean, that's good. Next up, this card is either called Silverback Elder or Ancient Silverback. I'm getting conflicting reports and I haven't seen an English version yet. Could just look it up in Arena, but I mean, these cards are live. So this is a 5-cost triple green creature, Simiogzama, or Sama. I hate Portuguese. You know what I do like, though? Apes. Especially this absolute unit. Check this out. 5/7. Okay, we're already good. Whenever you cast a creature spell, choose 1. So any creature spell, I feel like with how powerful this is, it should have at least said green. They could have calmed down with this. Number 1, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Okay, I mean, There you go, recurring naturalize. Number 2, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a land card, I can speak, from among them onto the battlefield tapped. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. Okay, land, fetch, or landfall. Okay. He's not landfall himself, but it's kind of neat. Then number 3, gain 4 life. I mean, this isn't like disgustingly powerful and he costs 5, but he is really good and really useful. Definitely fitting of being a mythic. Now, he's not legendary, and I feel like that's where the real power is, but I also feel like people are going to play him in singleton, aka Commander. So unless you're going to start cloning him, I don't know, he's kind of limited. There are better Omnaths out there, but, still absolute power card. Next up, Urtai Resurrected. I hate this guy, and somebody played 3 of these in a row in Standard Constructed against me already. So I might be a little biased, but seriously, I freaking hate this stupid card. So it's a 4-cost 3/2 legendary creature, Phyrexian Human Wizard, and a Pokemon Convention Machamp cosplayer. And he has Flash, which is the big problem, and when he enters battlefield, choose up to 1. Counter target spell, there's your problem. Activated ability or triggered ability, hello. Its controller draws a card. Trust me, that card is not a consolation prize. I hate this. He can shut down anything, and then they get a 3/2 on top of it. Number 2, destroy another target creature or planeswalker. Its controller draws a card. This guy is way too powerful. He is completely on another planet, power level wise, from the entire rest of the set. They should not have printed him, and I'm just disgusted by this stupid card. The worst part is he's in the 5-color Legends deck, which right now already everybody agrees needs to be banned. So just horrible, horrible misstep by them. Next up, Urza assembles the Titans. So it has read ahead, obviously, it's 5-cost Saga in white, so you know it's going to be the most powerful Saga in the set. So number 1, scry 4, then you may reveal the top card of your library. If a Planeswalker card is revealed this way, put it in your hand. Otherwise, leave it there and just draw it next turn, basically. Number 2, you may put a Planeswalker card with mana value 6 or less from your hand onto the battlefield. So free cast Super Friends booster, wonderful, but need I remind you, it costs 5. And then number 3, you may activate the loyalty abilities of Planeswalkers you control twice, but only this turn, rather than only once. Well, I'm glad they added rather than only once. I was so confused about how that worked. So neat card, but it goes into Super Friends, and honestly, even just right now, black-white Planeswalkers is still a thing. They don't have the manlands to back it up, but they're almost as bad, and it's to the point where I'm kind of on the fence of action needs to be taken. Probably could stand to ban one of the black ones, one of the white ones. I mean, Lolth is out, but it ain't fixed. Okay, we also dropped the power level, and there's still some darn good stuff in there. Next up, another massive mistake. I can't believe they did this again in instant speed in green for 2. Bite down. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature Planeswalker, either one you don't control. If you're going to target Planeswalkers, it's 3 mana. If you're going to make it instant speed, it's 3 mana. And if you're going to make it a fake force fight, it's usually 3 mana. So that's 3 strikes. They just said, no, let's put it in the common slot and make it 2. So you can take out anything with no repercussions, and I hate that. A force fight should be a force fight. You should have to be bigger. And the fact that this could just free hit a Planeswalker, okay, good, I hate Planeswalkers, but still, this card is too damn powerful for the common slot for 2, and I don't know what the hell they were thinking. Equally, I don't think they know what the hell they were doing. Next up, Argivian Phalanx, which is finally something to do with that giant pile of 1/1 humans that probably aren't going to win the game. So it's a 6-cost, but not really. White 4/4 common, a human core soldier. And it is a creature, but this spell costs 1 generic less to cast for each creature you control, and then Vigilance. So you got a couple out, you got a 4/4 for probably less than 4, and he has Vigilance. Very good card, even better in draft. It opens you up to just getting demolished by control, but honestly, there's not much control in this set. So next up, Artillery Blast. I just like this card. It's cool. That artwork is insanely cool. The concept, everything about it, oh my gosh. So, 2-cost white instant domain. Artillery Blast deals X damage to target tapped creature, where X is 1 plus the number of basic land types among lands you control. It's a 1 and done. I wish it was a permanent. It would be way more fun. Like a 0/3 or something. But yeah, then the flavor text is to conserve ammunition. Joy modified Ancient Thran artillery cannons to fire gouts of pure shaven lava. That is the coolest thing I've ever heard. So not even like that good of a card, but I love everything about this except for its function in the game. 10 out of 10 on the lore, though. Next up, Urg, Spawn of Turg. A lot of cursed frogs going on in this set. So it's a star 5, and that means like calculated on the fly. So 5 toughness, Unknown power, but I'll get to that. 2 black, 1 green, legendary creature Frog Beast. And Urg's Bond of Turgs, power is equal to the number of land cards in your graveyard. Now, how would that happen outside of Evolving Wilds? Well, at the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. You may put that card in your graveyard, so there's one way. And then 2, you can pay 1 green, 1 black, and sacrifice a land, and that's all non-tap. You can do that as many times as you want, and that you can afford. You gain 2 life. So besides the fact of don't you need those lands, this is an absolute power card for 3 mana. I mean, that's why they made the color locks so hard on this. 0 generic non-symmetrical, watch out, but once you get him out, boy, you can do some damage with him. It builds up over time and you probably can't afford to lose your lands, but I don't know, you're kind of screwing yourself over for stuff that's more appropriately costed to make just one thing bigger, and then when they blow him up, you've already lost. So this is a terrible card, but it's interesting. If you manage to mill half your deck or something, so watch out for this card in non-standard. You could throw 10 lands in your graveyard and just have this guy swinging for 10. I mean, that is power. Speaking of lands, next up we got Crystal Grotto. This is a neat card, very good for draft. When it enters battlefield, scry 1. It comes in untapped. Remember, this is a common. Tap it for generic, so there you go, or colorless, I should say. Whatever, there is almost no difference. Then if you pay 1, you tap it, add 1 mana of any color. So it's a filter, which really helps domain indirectly. I guess domain decks, not literally domain. It's a mana-fixing land. It's hard to interact with. You get the free scry, and it's, as long as you don't need full colors, it's available right away. This is a really good card. Next up, speaking of good cards, Coalition Warbrute. It's a 4-cost 3/4 in red with Enlist and Trample. It's just good. I mean, Enlist and Trample, there you go. Enlist is finally playable. It is not very powerful. It's not very good. There's almost no point to it. Until you give it Trample, then it makes a hell of a lot of sense, because if they're just going to chump block it anyway, who cares? Enlist actually only works if you've got double strike or flying or unblockable or Trample. Otherwise, you'll just get chumped by a 1/1. There is absolutely no point to it. And of course, the flavor text on Mr. Minotaur here is anger is his greatest weapon and he sharpens it daily. Me too, Minotaur. Me too. Next up, Knight of Dusk's Shadow. It's a 2-cost 2/2 human knight with Menace, which is already pretty good, but your opponents can't gain life. That should never be printed on another card, ever. Maybe you can pay for it and it's until end of turn. A perpetual passive, putting it on an uncommon non-legendary for 2 mana is so beyond unacceptable. They've already banned a card that had that exact phrase on it in the past. It turns out it's just too damn good, but I think they threw this in, or they threw that line on there without thinking, because look at this. Menace plus the bottom ability, pay 2, it gets +1 till end of turn. Come on. But I think they threw that on there because we're on year 3 of life gain decks just dominating. But as we learned in my last live stream, oh boy, white-green life gain and mono-white life gain and white-black life gain all completely gutted. Tier 2 or worse. Totally unplayable without Trellisara and a couple other cards. It already got damaged by the fake alchemy ban, where they banned 97 cards from standard all at once, or 98 or whatever it was. Any of the A-series cards, they moved them all to alchemy. That was the alchemy beta test, and it made no sense, and you had no parity between this and paper at F&M, because those cards, some of them literally didn't exist. And yet they're in standard official, but only best of one. It made absolutely no sense. They got rid of them, but we had Najani's Pridemate clone. So when we lost that, we still had Trellisara and we still had the double white guy, but yeah, now that rotation happened, it's over. So this isn't even needed, now it's just annoying, but it shut down one of my favorite archetypes where I just block with my face and then just absolutely kill you with triggers. But like I said, year 3 of this crap, I'm kind of over it. I'm kind of done playing life gain. I'm not happy that this exists. It's only in 1 color, but it's just, this is so annoying and so overpowered for 2. And they act like, it's just an everyday, just a human knight, uncommon, nothing special. This should be a mythic. First of all, the ability shouldn't be printed. Secondly, it should be on a mythic. This is ridiculous. Next up, Shore Up. It's a 1-cost blue instant, common, and this is a absolute wrecker in Sealed Ore Draft. So target creature you control gets +1/+1 against hexproof until end of turn, and then untap it. So you can ambush him with the untap, block, he's bigger, and then also it's kind of a counterspell. I mean, it's kind of like Turn Aside, but better. I don't know why anybody would play Turn Aside after this. Turn Aside is a 1-cost blue counterspell, if I'm not mistaken, that lets you counter a spell that targets one of your permanents. So, I mean, this is just so much more utility and so much better. And once again, they just casually toss it in the common slot like this ain't nothing. It does 3 things and it's a common that costs 1. Geez. I mean, but I'm not saying, look at the overpower to the set. I completely misread it. No, not at all. This is an absolute power card, but it's not a game wrecker. It's just good. It's useful, interesting, and good. It lets you take a game you're losing and maybe turn it around a little bit. It fights control, it lets people ambush if they carelessly overswing, and this is just good. Speaking of that, next up we got Destroy Evil. Oh, this was in both my draft decks, white, blue, and white, green. Instant, white, common, choose one. Destroy target creature with toughness 4 or greater, which is actually in draft kind of hard to find, but when people start, dropping in the thick boys, it's usually biggest creature wins, so that's nice. Otherwise, the backup is destroy target enchantment. So for 2 at instant speed, it's pretty good. But, I mean, I got people on temporary boosts where they, ambushed me, or they gave, +1/+1 and then another thing, and I was just like, oh, by the way, you're not attacking because you're dead. But I also lost a game with 2 of these in my hand, because everything out there had 3 toughness. So big gamble, don't run too many of these, but it's definitely a good card, but it's not just the absolute end all, nor should it be in the common slot for 2. Next up, Captain's Call. So it's 4, okay. Create 3 white soldier creature tokens. So for 4, that's actually not bad, especially with the whole boost all humans, and they even mention King Darien, the XLVII. Did anybody ever figure out what that is? King Darien, the liar about his number of ancestors. I believe that's what that's Roman for. I mean, there's no way. But yeah, I mean, 3 tokens for 4 mana, that's very good. It's sorcery speed, as well it should be. You cannot let people ambush with that kind of power and that kind of chumping. They can be swinging for the win, and you cast this and just win. So yeah, this needed to be a sorcery. But I've had people drop this, and just the game stalls out. I just cannot get past it without Trampler flying in draft. So yeah, it's just good. It's interesting, it's good, and it's what powers the human deck. But you're not going to, blitz humans. It's like, oh, cheap creatures and I go wide quickly. Well, not at 4 mana, you're not. But yeah, you run, 2 or 3 of these maybe in constructed. Otherwise, I think this is just a buy time in a draft. But he ended up playing Darien on top of it, and hilariously enough, I beat him anyway. Ended up getting him with an untapped block into a boosted flyer with, I think, 2 of those blue spells. That was just mean. He had 20 damage on the field. I chumped everything and then just barely won the next turn. I felt so dirty after that. He gave me a good game though, because you got to recognize that was an insane move. So next up, the Cruelty of Gix. It's a rare 5-cost black saga. Hello. Number 1, target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a creature or planeswalker card from it. The player discards that card. Last person to play the zombie in a draft did not find a valid target, and they weren't very happy about it. I might have also spammed emotes because the guy was running a really dickish archetype. Number 2, search your library for a card. Put that card in your hand, then shuffle. You lose 3 life. Okay, Universal Tutor. I mean, you don't really have to pay for it, but this is 5, so I think Diabolic Tutor is 4. And you lose 3 life, but now you can read ahead past it if you don't want to do that. But if you start at 2, you have to do it. If you start at 1, you have to do it. But will you start at 3, which is put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So that effect does typically cost 5, and it should. And even standard constructed, you do not get much of a discount there. Maybe it's a 6, 7, 8 cost creature. That's about all there is. And then was it even in your graveyard? You know what I mean? So you ain't resurrecting an Eldrazi Titan. Not in standard. So this is certainly an interesting card. I think 1's really annoying. 2 is potentially going to kill you at that point in the game. And then 3 is a power card. So it's a bit of a gamble, bit of a high skill, bit of a predict what's going to happen, see if you can do it safely. It's interesting. It'd be a hell of a lot more interesting if it didn't have read ahead, but whatever. Next up, in case you didn't see it, before I saw that this card existed, and I up to this point, I'm not kidding, I even showed this on stream, I have not read this card yet. I'm actually blocking it with my Audacity window as I look at it. I have been saying for years, at least 4 or 5 years. It wasn't even, I think, the last time we were on Dominaria. I think it was the last time Dominaria was referenced. I think it was before the fight against Bolas, where Karn left and said, hey, I'm going to go try to destroy the Phyrexians. I found something about their homeworld or found out that they still exist. And I said, with what I know about the lore, he's probably going to rebuild the Sylex or build another one. So when I saw this, just the name and the art, I absolutely lost it. And this is a mythic legendary artifact that costs 3. Now, I have not read this card yet. People who watch my stream can attest to that. I absolutely assure you, when I saw that it existed, I said, yes, I'm aware of the name. I'm purposely going to switch back in the search, the card search, and not look at it. All right, my initial impression, this better not be toxic or awful after waiting this many years and me being right and me being just thrilled to death that this exists. This better blow everything to hell, but as much of a meme as the Sylex was, because that's what ended the Brothers' War, I believe, And if I'm not mistaken, started the Ice Age. So like the Sylex is no joke, and it's just this stupid little, you know, clay dish thing that you might put a Jello mold in. I don't know why I'm so tickled by it, but when I first looked up the wiki, I'm like, what? The Brothers' War ended with a giant explosion, basically a nuclear bomb, but bigger, and it was a bowl? What the hell is this thing? And then the joke was like, Karn's gonna build another one. And I was like half serious because I thought, well, why wouldn't they? I felt like I solved something. So anyway, okay. I'm stalling because I don't want this to be awful, but I also, for 3 mana and legendary and access to all colors, this damn well better not be a board wipe. Let's read it. Karn Sylex enters the battlefield tapped. Okay. Players can't pay life to cast spells or to activate abilities that aren't mana abilities. Okay, I mean, so anti-Phyrexian, that makes sense. And then X, and tap it. Exile it. Oh no. Destroy each non-land permanent. I knew they would do this. I knew it. Destroy each non-land permanent with mana value X or less. Activate only as a sorcery. So what is that, Ratchet Bomb? I knew that's what this was. I knew it would be a selective mana or power or toughness base board wipe. I knew it. So this is not horrifically overpowered, and you can pay for the X on the fly. You don't have to sit there and put charge counters on it or whatever like Ratchet Bomb. I sure hope I have the right card. I feel like that one's damaged, but there are cards that work like this. So yeah, not disappointed. I mean, if anything, it's a little weak, but like, dang. Anti-Phyrexian specific ability, which is just hilarious, because if you're playing Phyrexian, you're probably running overpowered, obnoxious crap. Just saying, there's like a personality type that runs the bad guy decks because I think it's funny. And I'm not going to elaborate further. I'll offend people. I'm always so afraid of that. I always watch what I say so as not to offend groups of people. But anyway, this will shut down your stupid gimmicky deck, okay? This is going to be like a $20 card. I'm going to look at the price right now. What the hell? What's stopping me? Okay, $15 pre-order. All right. That's about right. I could see it hitting 20. I really could. I mean, you still have to pay for it. You still got to drop it in for 3. So like, okay, but if you have the 3 to pay for it, you can pay 3 to blow everything up that's exactly 3. Oh, wait, I misread that. It's mana value X or less. That changes things. I thought it was exactly. Okay, so you just put a ton of mana into this and it's a meat hook massacre. Okay. So a scalable board wipe available to all colors. I mean, it's interesting. It probably should cost 4 or be 1 plus X. Either or. I feel like this is a little too good. But it's especially right now. Yeah, I know, I get it. Rotation happened. This isn't just board wipe and beat them with manlands. Okay, you can't get away with that anymore. But you can get away with white, black, Planeswalkers, Super Friends. So this on top of it where you can exactly do it, but I mean, it's non-land permanents. You can take out your Planeswalkers too, okay? Everything is going away. You better have bigger creatures than them or more expensive creatures, not even, you know, counters dumped onto it because this is based on mana value, which is, you know, CMC basically. Original CMC. Yeah, I mean, this is one of those cards that'll affect you as hard as them unless you're very careful and tiptoe around it. So I'm kind of on the fence. I don't hate it, but I feel like we don't need more control and we don't need to give it to 5 different colors right now. Every deck can now run Karn Sylex. I don't like that. But what I do like is that you can pay 0, tap it, and exile it and get rid of every token in play. I'll just say it. Token people are the worst. The go wide people where they just forfeit on the spot when you run one board wipe, they deserve this. This should be in everybody's sideboard right here just to teach those people a lesson. I do not like cheap, gimmicky, goblin or human blitz bullshit. I hate that archetype. It's so cheap. It's so basic. You might as well just run mill. It's boring, it's stupid, it's right up there with the old cycling deck from 2 rotations ago. Don't even get me started on that disaster. I got to Mythic with that deck. You cannot tell me that that shouldn't have been banned and was a mistake, a design mistake. It was a glass cannon to end all glass cannons and I hated it. But I played it and got to Mythic with it. So, yeah, I mean, what more is there to say about this? A lot of good, a lot of bad. Kind of excited that it exists in the lore. I'm not thrilled that this exists in the game now that it's not exactly X. But a token Punisher that'll blow your crap up too that affects Planeswalkers. I mean, you could do a lot worse. Also, it's legendary, so you can't just sit there and stack them up. So moving on, we've got Ratadrabic of Urborg. This is some new stained glass thing, by the way. That's kind of cool. And if you pay 4, 1 white, 1 black, 3/3 legendary creature zombie wizard, vigilance and ward 2. So this guy is sticking around. Other zombies you control have vigilance. Which, okay, that's not going to save the throwaway 2/2s with Decayed, but zombies are still a thing. That deck's pretty darn powerful, mostly because of 1 card, but it's not quite tier 1. It's close. This might do it though. So whenever another legendary creature you control dies, which now what zombie deck are you running? Create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's not legendary, and it's a 2/2 black zombie in addition to its other colors and types. So this is some kind of like master necromancer to be able to just take the most powerful like warriors that fell in battle and resurrect them. But they're only 2/2s. So it's no Whip of Erebos, and it's no that other card that was just like this. I am in quite a bit of pain right now, unfortunately, so now I get to edit this, yay! But yeah, my memory's shot and I gotta work tomorrow, so I'm not in a good mood to begin with. So there's really not that many more I want to show off. Let's show off Queen Alanal of Ruadak, or I don't know. But she's 1 green, 2 white, star, legendary creature elf noble, and her power and toughness are each equal to the number of creatures you control. That's right, they went full Westgate, and you knew this was coming. Weirdly enough, she's not a human. I think that's the whole alliance thing. She's an elf noble, but yeah, this goes in a 1/1 human deck in case you didn't put 2 and 2 together. But also her insane ability is if 1 or more creature tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus a 1/1 white soldier creature token are created instead. A trigger replacement with the word instead that's completely unnecessary when it doesn't actually stop the original trigger. I don't understand that. I think there was no purpose that I can immediately see to phrasing it that way. It's just confusing, stupid, and going to generate some kind of weird rules thing. So if anybody knows why they did that instead of just whenever a creature would be created, create a 1/1. None of this replace the trigger with itself and then instead. There's no reason for that I can see. There's a lot of rule stuff when you go instead. It fails to make other triggers work, and it's really weird. It might have been some kind of infinite recursion thing where creating a token creates a token, and you replace the initial one where it's like a 2/1, but nothing comes to mind. Also, any of those triggers would still be on the stack, just saying. And if it's ETB, those would still be there. So I do not understand why they did this. And also, this card is bonkers overpowered, at least in standard. I mean, I think that's why, once again, they color locked it so hard. Double white and 1 green. Unfortunately, the humans deck is pretty much mostly white splash green. So you're not in a whole lot of trouble there. The real problem is this is going in an elf ball deck all day. That is annoying. And I heard there's one in standard. I haven't seen it yet. People have warned me about it. That's not good. So one of the last cards, if not the last, I haven't looked ahead too much, is Weatherlight completed. That's right, they went all Borg drone on the Weatherlight. I don't know how you can complete something that wasn't alive, but I think the Weatherlight was partially alive, or I don't know. I think they just ripped off Outlaw Star, but anyway, it's a 2-cost 5/5 legendary artifact vehicle. Oh yes, flying, and as long as it has 4 or more Phyresis counters on it, okay, it's a Phyrexian creature in addition to its other types. So you might have noticed it's a vehicle, it has no crew ability. Okay, whenever a creature you control dies, put a Phyresis counter on Weatherlight completed, then draw a card if it has 7 or more Phyresis counters on it if it doesn't scry one. So yeah, some crap has to die, but you could just board wipe. I feel like they should have made this trigger only go off once per turn, but yeah, you board wipe on top of something and blow up everything, including 4 of your creatures, boom, you got a 5/5. But you would need this plus a board wipe, so the whole advantage of it being a 5/5 for 2, it ain't that early game, you know? It could just be this nice little insurance policy, which is why I don't like it being colorless, because then anybody has access to this. And then now every color has access to scry, but this isn't like that powerful. It's good, but it's not that good. It's still 4 counters, and until it is, it doesn't do much, but whenever a creature you control dies, blah, 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 ... scry 1. That's what I'm reading, and we've already got another card that does that. And it's in black, and it's not legendary, and people are playing it in the zombies deck. So that is a lot of things. If you scry 2 every time some little piece of crap dies, this should have said non-token. Just plain and simple, it should have, because you don't know what they're running when you go full colorless. And the zombie deck is way too good. Now, humans deck, 4 of them die, you might as well get a 5/5 because you're probably going to lose. You know, you got to turn that around somehow. But, man, this card was a mistake. And this is very, very difficult to blow up until it's a creature. Also, in Arena, it's, in my opinion, displaying incorrectly. I don't want to get into it, but if you've seen it, you know what I mean. Next up, Slimefoot Survey. Slimefoot is in the game, he's in the lore, he's in the story. I don't care what this card does, I just wanted to point that out because Slimefoot's awesome. Next up, we got Stronghold Arena. It's a 2-cost black enchantment rare with kicker 1 green and or 1 white. So you could pay it 0 times, 1 time, or 2 times. But if you do it the second time, it has to be the opposite color, so good luck with that. But whenever this card enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life for each time it was kicked. Okay. And then whenever one or more creatures you control deals combat damage to a player, you may reveal the top card of your library and put it into your hand. If you do, you lose life equal to its mana value, though. Pretty powerful enchantment, non-legendary, but that's not the end of the world when you're losing life per card. But notice that it says you may... and then all together, reveal the top card and put it in your hand. Not you may reveal the card and then may put it in your hand. You're doing it blind or you're not, so you have no idea what's next. And then if you do this whole process, you lose life equal to its mana value, so watch out. This could backfire, especially if you got 2 of them, but if you are running nothing but lifelinkers, it would be kind of interesting. I'm tempted to make that, but nah. I mean, Clerics and Angels are kind of washed up right now. They're still somewhat playable, but we lost so much support for it, it's just not going to happen. Which is fine. I was sick of that damn deck. Valkyries, very annoying. But yeah, something to keep your eye on if you want a little fringe deck with an interesting hook to it. I'm already seeing if I can build around it. Next up, Urborg Lurgoyf. There are only 2 other Lurgoyfs in the game. But what about the Changelings? Shut up, nobody cares about the Changelings. And one of the other ones is Tarmogoyf, which used to be considered a very powerful card before they took the last couple years of standard sets and power crept them all the way off a cliff. Now we've got a flying black creature that's better than it. So yeah, this is a star, 1+ star, which is your typical Lurgoyf, 4/2 in green, with kicker, 1 blue and or black. So you know how that works. When it enters battlefield, or as it enters battlefield, I don't know what the difference is there, probably nothing. Not very well written or consistent phrasing in the Oracle text in this set. Mill 3 cards for each time it was kicked. Okay. And then Urborg Lurgoyf's power is equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard, and its toughness is equal to the number +1. So Tarmogoyf is card super types, is how I would describe it. And yes, tribal sorcery is considered one. That was such a dumb gimmicky deck. In Modern, never did like that one. But this one's just creatures. Which, good luck getting, 10 creatures in your graveyard on turn 1, so he's not going to be that powerful. He's not like, ooh, look at this big giant creature on turn 2 that's unstoppable, but yeah, if you build your whole deck around him, you could probably get him out there as like a 5/6 on like turn 4, and then somebody will blow him away with the kill spell, then what's the point of your deck? But I mean, yeah, you do get the pay 1 extra or pay 2 extra in mill 3. You might be able to get him way up there, but it's an absolute blind gamble. But in a Self-Resurrector deck, yeah, I'd play him, You only get 1 kicker though, because that is black-green typically. So the biggest wow factor of this card is, wow, another Lurgoyf. Okay. What I can't tell is he on the Phyrexian side or not? There's no flavor text. I can't really tell by the art. And I don't know. Is that a natural creature? It's just from Urborg? I mean, is it undead? Definitely interesting. The type line ain't going to tell you nothing, though. So another noteworthy card, Blight Pile. Oh my gosh, do I hate this thing. So it's a 3/3 for 2 in black creature Phyrexian with Defender. That's already annoying. And then if you pay 3 and tap it, each opponent loses X life. That's right, each opponent, where X is the number of creatures with Defender you control. So you can just wall install, play this, and just win without ever attacking. I hate that. I hate everything this represents. I hate a 3/3 for 2. I hate those flipper decks that attack with toughness and run nothing but defenders. And from what I heard, everybody hates that stupid Defender as a mechanic deck. It's gimmicky, it's cheap, it's stupid. It just, nothing is good about this card. Nothing is good about this archetype. This completely ruins it, and it makes the Defender deck playable, which is not good. Now, I thought all the walls in this set, walls, use that term loosely, the Defenders, are white, blue. I don't remember any of them being black, so this might not be the most playable thing, but I hate this. Hate it. Despise it. But wait, it gets worse. Coral Colony, 2 cost 1/4 in blue, creature wall, Defender. Pay 2, tap it, target player mills X cards where X is the number of creatures you control with Defender. So now you've got 2 paid mana abilities that will win you the game without ever attacking, while you just sit there and block. Now, a 3/3 and a 1/4 aren't the biggest thing in the world, but they are annoying to get past, and mill is the most obnoxious thing ever. There was a longtime Magic player who'd been playing for 20 plus years that wrote WotC a letter about how much they hate mill and how it is not part of the game, and everybody agreed with him, except for immature, obnoxious douchebags who play easy, brainless decks like mill. So this was a mistake, the Walls deck was a mistake, and a lot of things in the set actually turns out were a mistake, like Legendary as a mechanic when not banning anything at the same time that they did rotation. They could have fixed this, they could have gotten out ahead of it. Now people are going to build the decks and they're going to be forced to ban some of them about 3-4 weeks from now. Huge mistake, Huge oversight. If you're going to drop the power level this hard, Wizards, you have to ban the old stuff and do it all at once. You cannot put in half the effort when you got rid of half the deck variety. Because now we just got less variety with more overpowered crap in a set that dropped the power that nobody wants. That is a financial nightmare. Rotation is a once-a-year time to try to get people back into Standard, okay? You really screwed it up. I mean, we were like 3-4 days into Standard constructed, post-rotation on Arena, and we are already looking at, wow, this is worse than it has ever been because of a handful of old cards. Not new ones, old ones. The new ones added fuel to the fire, but the problem cards, the outrageous power levels, are the old ones. So that's the shape of things as it sits. I did kind of work in a little review of it in the spoilers area because it's very relevant, but that's all I care to show off for now. The rest are not too interesting. I mean, you can look at the full list, or already have if you haven't. But yeah, just wait till you see some of the gameplay that I'm going to post from Standard Constructed. It is really something. Really, really something. So thanks WotC for ruining another year of Magic. Pull your head out of your ass and ban something as soon as you possibly can. And I'll see you guys next time.